And this is what we need to watch out for. Well, this is what we need to watch out for, this authoritarian mindset. And look, do you need to watch out for it as a nation? Yes, you better, especially as things start getting imposed on your life, because that slides into authoritarianism. And that's a slippery slope. And I know you're going to bring up the slippery slope fallacy. Well, I see it in your eyes.
Well, again, and I'll say that I said it before, where there is such thing as a slippery slope, and there is such thing as a slippery slope fallacy. Mm-hmm. They're not like one doesn't,
They both exist.
They both exist, exactly right.
So authoritarianism, in our minds, we have to watch out for it. Yeah. In our teams, as leaders, we have to watch out for it. And yes, as human beings living in whatever country you live in, you need to watch out for that authoritarianism, because it's a thing that once it starts to take hold, the authoritarian, it snowballs. Yeah. Like I get a little bit of control. Authoritarian people, when they get a little bit of control, they want more control. Yeah. And then they get a little bit more, they want even more. And they don't stop. Yeah. And it's a psychopathology that they have, that they can't contain it. So here we go. Authoritarianism. In discussing military organizations, it was suggested that a symbiotic relationship exists between certain characteristics of armed services and the private needs of the individual members. So what that's saying is, when you go in the military, there's certain needs that certain people have, certain psychological needs that people have, that going in the military satisfies those needs. For instance, here's an example of where this is a bad thing. I like to rule over people. Right. I know if I become an officer in the military, I'll be able to rule over those privates. Right. So it sort of satisfies that to me. So there's a nice relationship I have. I want to be an authoritarian. This puts me in an authoritarian position. I love it. Right. Is this true of all military people? No, it's not. Continuing on, emphasis was laid upon the central role in this relationship of anxiety, that insidious motivator of much human behavior. In the military mind, it was pointed out, anxiety has many sources: fear of death and mutilation, fear of suppression, fear of failure and social disapproval, fear of public disgrace, and underlying all that, fear of total disorder, which is inseparable product of unleashing normally tabooed instinctual forces. So if you're a person that doesn't like disorder, you look at the military and go, that looks pretty good. You got to go to bed at a certain time. All these people will listen to me. We get to follow orders. They're going to tell me what to do. Everyone's going to listen to when I tell them what to do. That's if you don't like disorder, that's a great place to be. Until what happens? The lair of total disorder on planet Earth opens its jaws, and that is combat. So now you're a person that doesn't like disorder, and for your job, at the moment of truth, you are thrust into the jaws of the highest level of disorder in the world. That is combat. And that's why that's what this book is about. This psychology of military incompetence is because people that like order and join the military because they like order, and then their actual job, look, part of their job is marching around a parade field and inspecting uniforms and keeping everything squared away. That's great. But when that homie shows up and shit's getting crazy, they lose their minds. So when you're judging and you're thinking, I wonder if that bad guy be a good military officer. They're highly disciplined. They're highly disciplined. They follow orders. They're authoritarian. They seem like they'd be great. You need to remember, what's that person going to do when things get wild? And they're going to get wild. Continuing on, finally it was suggested, and you can see where this whole book, that crux, that's why I said this is the crux of the book. That crux right there is why this is so fascinating to me. Because I've seen this throughout my career. People that were squared away, people that were highly disciplined, people that were loved for things to be in order, and when things weren't going right or things were getting wild, they'd lose their minds. And by the way, if they never got put into a situation where things got wild, they're getting promoted, by the way. They're getting promoted because they're the most ordered. They kept the tightest reins on their troops.